I'm just going to show you a few things about how you can assemble the Game Bar Carbon Plus now. So when you get it, it'll come like this. It's got the rubber bumper in the end and the blank end screw in the other end. So in no particular order, I'll just go through the different attachments and show you the assembly. Okay, so just show you the extensions as well. So that's the smallest extension. That's the next one. And that's the biggest one. Okay, tighten them. If you do want to release all of them at the same time, the best thing is to just grab all three and turn, and then you'll notice they're all free. Okay. So that's the bar like that. So the end bumper can come out if you want to set it up to Trek out. Okay, and the TrekTip can go in. So that's, I will mention now, if you did really want to tighten this up, it's generally pretty good by hand because it's got that rubber there that grabs, but each kit will come with the screw key. So there's a hole there. You put that in. If you really want to crank it up, you can. Okay, and then also handy if it's over tightened or for some reason you're having trouble, handy to get it undone. Now the TrekTip is good like that, the way you see it, or if you prefer, if the ground's really soft and you don't want the tip sinking in all the time, you can put that one on. It's good for grass. This one's a slightly more textured one. It's pretty good for gravel and things, or a bit of a combo. Okay, and then if it's really muddy and you don't want the tip sinking too far, you put that one on. It's called a mud basket, and that will prevent it sinking too far. So it'll sink into the mud up to there and it'll stop it from going in too far. Okay, and then the last one's a snow basket, same idea. You can put that one on like that, and so yeah, again, in the snow it's just going to sink up to that point. So you've got every bit of terrain covered. Okay, so that's the TrekTip. I'm just going to put this bumper back in. You can get around with this rubber as well, it's pretty durable. Okay, now on the other end, at the moment, we've just got the blank end screw. You can undo that. It's just a thread protector, so you'll see there we've got the thread there, and we'll have a look through the different things in the attachments. So this is the GearSync screw, you can see there. Put the thicker thread into the hole, tighten it up. Again, finger tight, like snug is usually enough, but if you did want to really tighten it, get the screw key out, but you know, you don't really need to. So that's that. Now, ball head, Bino adapter, V-rest, smartphone mount. So they're all compatible with this. So let's assume that you're heading out and you want to do some glassing first. So you put the ball head on. Down that way. Okay, so the way the ball head works, it's got a loosening knob here, so you can swivel it and the ball itself moves through a range of motion. So you can get that exactly how you want it set up. If you want to move the swivel around for some reason to a different position, you can. So that's the ball head. And then the Bino adapter. So your binos are going to go on there. I'll put it on here first. Okay, get that snug. So most binos, when you get them, they're going to have a little cap on here, and there's a thread in there, and that thread there goes on that one from your binoculars. And so that's how the binoculars mount like that, and that's done. While you're using it, if you want to adjust angles and things, you can tilt your binos, look closer, look up, things like that. So that's the Bino adapter. All right, and obviously the V-rest, it's really simple, just go straight on. Okay, so that's good for shooting, rest your rifle. Good to push this edge, it's a little bit bigger there, you'll see, to push that up against a tree or something, so your rifle sits in here and doesn't get scratched up on recoil. And it's got a good lot of angles there, so even if the bar's sort of sloping into the tree, you've still got enough here to get your rifle level. So that's the V-rest. Okay, so if you did manage to shoot something, you want to take some photos, we've got the smartphone adapter here. Now there's a few different ways you can do it. It can go straight onto that thread if you want it to. Okay, so it can go on there, but obviously any adjustments are all directly linked with the bar. The simpler method that just makes it a little bit more flexible once it's set up, make it easier, is to use the ball head first and then put the smartphone adapter on the top. Okay, so now you'll notice, like if you're using it as a selfie stick, you can adjust it to this position and you can put your phone in there. I'll just show you that. So yeah, the clamp goes really wide, so it's suitable for all size phones. There you go. So just remember when you're putting in, just watch for your little buttons there, you don't want to crush them. So yeah, so that's for the selfie stick. You can put it on the other end, so you've got the thinner arm, so that mount will go on the other end as well. That way you get to hold the handle here. Okay, so selfie stick, or if you did want to just spike it into the ground and use it as a post, you can have it in that position and get whatever angle you need with the ball head to get a nice photo on timer. There's a bit more going on here at the back, so if you want landscape mode photos, it's like that, or you can simply change to portrait mode like that, so that your photos are up and down rather than across. Okay, and then I'll just show you another option with the smartphone mount. If you were really keen to save weight, this L-shaped bracket here, which lets you easily change landscape portrait, that is removable and it can be mounted without it. So you'll notice you've got this screw here, which can go on there. So if you do want to really pack light and you may be only going to use it occasionally, you don't need the L-shaped bracket. This will sort of do the same setup. So there's your selfie in landscape, or you can rotate the bar that way for portrait. And then of course you can have it straight up and down as well, spiked in the ground. If you did want to have it spiked in the ground in portrait, you do it like that. So straight up and down in the ground, and there's your portrait mode there. So that's the smartphone mount. And that's the ball head. Okay. So that's the attachment pack with the GearSync adapter. All of that's also compatible with digital SLRs and GoPros and things like that. All right, now, if you did get some deer or something on the ground and you want to adapt the bar into a game drag and get your game management happening, so drag, prop or hang, you've got to put these screws on. So that one's already removed. Let's take this one off. And put these screws on. Okay, so the main thing with the D screws is you want to get them so that they are parallel with each other. So the holes in this case are facing up on both of them, or the flat part there in line as well. It's just going to mean that as the webbing runs through, it just stays all on the same line. Okay, so the webbing gets threaded through. Like so. So once that's set up, if you feel the middle here, you'll notice there's a bit of stitching. That's the middle of the webbing. So if you put that in the middle of the bar, shows you that these loops will end up about the same length. Okay, so that's that. So to drag something, you would make your loops out of the ends here, just by threading it back through itself. Make your loops like that. You can tidy them up a bit if you want to, keep them neat. Just undo those little twists. And then yeah, your deer will go in there, whether it's a leg or an antler or a horn or a hoof or whatever you like. It'll cinch down and hang on to that for you. And yeah, then your drag handle here, drag it out. Just make sure you keep the webbing side, the webbing there facing you, so that this runs nicely around there and is dragging under tension like that on both sides. That'll just take any pressure off that end screw there. It's just putting all the pressure on the bar. And make sure the bar's fully shortened when you're dragging. Okay, so if you did want to prop the legs of an animal apart, there's a few ways you can do that as well. So you can put the legs or the hock joints in there and then just extend out this until you get tension, and then you'll end up with, I mean, I'd go further, but you won't see it on shot, but you'll end up with the legs propped apart and secured in the loops, so that you can do your gutting on the ground and things, or skinning and processing on the ground. There are a couple of other options as well for propping the legs. I'll just take these off. So you can take this webbing off by leaving the screws on if you're worried about dropping them. So that'll come off. So a couple other options with propping the legs apart. Popular one is put the TrekTip in, leave that in. Okay, and then on the top here, I mean, you can use the GearSync or just a flat end. Actually, the rubber's the best option because it's a bit grippy, but just something there that's just going to stop that thread getting any gunk in it. And what you're going to do is put that into the hock joint of the deer here and here and spread it apart. And you'll notice, like when you spread it apart, it digs in. It's that little concave section there, and that'll stay there fairly good. Very good if you just really quickly want to get the legs apart. Obviously not much good if you're skinning in that area, because eventually it'll poke through the tendon hole and things, so that would be where the webbing would be the way to go. Another option, if you just do want to prop a leg up off the ground, is to run the V-rest on the top. And in this case, you can not worry so much about the bottom leg. You can actually put the top leg or whatever it might be in there. It could be even the antlers or something if you're getting around the head, and you can spike the spike in the ground to dig it in, and then just use this to prop up whatever you want. Okay, so whatever will go in there. So that's a few options with your leg prop. All right, so the bar at the moment, it's just got empty holes in each end, and you can see here the webbing, I've left the screws on. The screws shouldn't fall off. Okay, they should stay on there, so that's a pretty good way to keep it all together. That's the way I do it. And then we can reassemble this. Now you'll notice as I do this, it will twist around a little bit on the bar, but there's enough length in it. We just take these turns out at the end and then get the twists out. Just remember what I said earlier about getting the screws parallel with each other like that. Okay, so yeah, so this is all twisted up. Just take the twist out, so find that, and then on this end, just work it around a little bit. And that's done, so now we don't have any twists. Before you put the legs on and things, if you don't want to undo anything on the lift kit, you're going to put the bar onto the lift kit. So here's the lift kit here. I've just got the ropes bundled up so they don't get in the way. When you get it out of its little stuff sack, all those ropes will be out on the ground, and you'll have this sort of setup with the Velcro and so on. So the one with the rope on it, the shackle with the rope, is your top rope. So you can throw that one up over the tree and tie it off. The Velcro is just to stop any twists or tangles occurring. at any stage with the pulleys. Like you can see, they loosen up a bit easy. You don't want always twisting on itself. So all Velcro does is keep that together. So that's going to be how it looks. Now this shackle here is where the game bar goes on. So I'll show you this nice and clearly. You're going to take the middle section of your game bar where the stitching is, and you're going to thread it through that hole. Okay, there it is there. Now I like to hold that so I don't lose track of it, and then just thread the game bar through that loop. So see this loop here? You're going to thread the game bar through that loop. Like so. And then this will just cinch down on itself. And again, I like to try and hold that in the middle and then just pull these. And there you go. And while there's no tension on it, it's easy to adjust it. There it is in the middle there. So what that means is that that's going to hang level when you loop your gear on. So that's going to hang nice and level. Okay, so once you've done that step, you would make your loops, whichever ones you need, put the deer on and pull the rope to hoist it up. If it's a deer that's not too heavy, or a goat or something, you can just use the loops as you see them like this and put the legs in. But if it is a bigger deer and you just want to make sure the bar is really securely held in place and it's never going to slip, we recommend this approach. So just going to bring the loop back. So that's just a plain loop there, and that's the webbing. And you can just bring it back through the hole a little bit, so there's just enough there for the webbing to go through. Just enough there, put the webbing through there, and then tighten that up. And you'll notice what happens is, I'll just tighten it this way a little bit first. The loop there now is fixed to the bar. So it's still a noose, it's still going to cinch down on whatever part you put it on. It's now fixed to the bar, so the bar can't slide up the webbing. So that will be the setup. Put your part of your animal in there, and that's going to cinch down nice and tight. And again, just to undo it, you just pull it, it's really easy. So there's a rope here coming out of the top pulley there. That's the rope that will hoist it up. Okay, once it's all done, lower it to the ground and get the legs off and things, and then to reverse it, you'll have that loop like that. You're just going to grab it, make it big again, feed the bar back through, slide it out, and it's done. So that's how you put the game bar on the lift kit. Once you're done with the lift kit, just remember, shorten it up and then put your little bit of Velcro on, and that'll just keep it together so it doesn't get tangled. The system's designed so there's no downtime, so you don't waste time undoing tangles and knots and things like that. So that's that. All right, now there's a couple other things over here I want to talk about. So the lanyard, which some people like to use, and this little bit of extra Velcro that you get. So if you're inclined to just want to leave this set up, or for whatever reason, you want to keep the webbing on, the Velcro's there, handy to sort of keep it all neat. So there's a few different ways you can do this however you like, but I tend to like to do it this way. So I just shorten it up on one end, double it back so that most of the length is taken up in there, and then just wrap this around the bar so that it takes up any extra length, and then the Velcro is just put on at the end just to keep that in place. So that's that there. So then, yeah, you can just stuff that in your pack, or put it on the outside of your pack or wherever, and that's just going to stay together. So that's one option. The other option with the Velcro, of course, is just to Velcro it to the outside of your pack. If you've got a spare strap or something, do it up nice and tight, especially if you do it either on the foam or just under it, and it's not going to fall off, it's only light. So that's what the Velcro's for. A couple of things you can do with it there. And then the lanyard. So I'll show you how to put the lanyard on. There's 3 different ways you can do it. Okay, so if you were going to be doing some trekking, you put the TrekTip in, okay, and we put the lanyard on so you got some security with your wrist. It's super handy if you did want to just have the bar trekking with it and then maybe drop it, get your binos out of the pouch, have a look around. This is going to hang off your wrist. So the lanyard's made up of a thicker cord and a thin cord, and it's completely silent. So we're just going to put that loop there onto the thread of the screw and then screw that onto the bar, and that'll just pinch between the rubber washer and the end of the bar, and it'll hold it nice and secure. So that's your lanyard there. Okay, so your wrist through there. If you did want to adjust the size of this loop around your wrist, you'll notice that this is a sliding knot, and you can just reposition there. So if you want it a little bit snugger around your wrist like that, it's like that. So yeah, like I was saying, if you're out hiking and you want to drop it for some reason, it's just going to hang off your wrist, and then you can just swing it back up and keep going. So that's one option with the lanyard there. The other option, of course, if you do want to keep the V-rest on top, you just do it, but do it with the GearSync screw. So it's the same idea, put the loop onto the thread, and then on goes the lanyard, and then on goes the V-rest. So that's handy again, out trekking around. For some reason you want to reload your mag or something, you don't have to hang onto the bar, it's just going to hang off your wrist and then back up when you need it. Okay, so those methods both use the microcord loop. I'll show you a couple of options now without the microcord loop. So this is just looped on, you can take it off. Okay, so now you're just left with this. So because this knot slides, there's a few things we can do. So one option is you just go straight onto the bar and tighten it up. Okay, like that. Now that's obviously on the foam there, that's an option, but that's pretty good as well. Okay, you can slide it down a bit and have it under the foam. So it just depends on what you like to do, and you can tension that up nicely and that'll just sit there. And so in this case it's sort of under your wrist, so your hand's free at the top, so that's an option. The foam itself can slide down if you need it to. It's a bit grippy, but you can slide it down a bit, and then maybe if you want to do the same setup above, you could as well, especially if you've got your V-rest or something on top. So it's the same setup there. And then the final method is to make that loop a bit bigger, loop it back on itself. Okay, so that the loop goes the other side of the knot, and then just tighten that a bit more. And so you end up with it attached in that configuration. And again, that's nice. That's a nice method for a slightly smaller loop, if you want it tighter. So there's a few ways that you can attach the lanyard. They all sort of work. Everyone does it the way they like best, and that's done. All right. Cleaning the game bar is all about just, getting any grit and crap off the surface. So if there's blood and grime, just clean it off. Just a damp cloth with a bit of soap and stuff is fine. And then just make sure you take a little bit of time to get in the ends here. They do accumulate a tiny bit of dust and things, so just give them a wipe. If you did drop it in a creek or something, obviously just check the holes are clear, use the screw key to clean out the holes and things. But The thread is the main thing. You don't want that clogged up with mud and things, so just give that a bit of a flush. Okay, the bar is non-corrosive, so it just needs to be drying before it's stored. And yeah, the foam grip, you can, really get that in the water and sponge it around if it did get gritty and things. And again, just let it air dry. But yeah, just keep your threads clean and it'll be fine. If for some reason you had the end thread off and it did get dropped in a whole heap of mud and it got mud internally, you can disassemble the bar entirely. So I'll show you that now. So you're just going to undo this thread all the way, just carefully slide that off. Okay, so now that tube is completely hollow. You can flush that right out from both ends. Even if you had to patch it out with something, you can. Just be aware of these really fine threads here. You just want to clean them up as well. And just be mindful, this is a track that keeps it running where it should in the bar. When you reassemble it, just make sure you line that up. So if you don't get it right, it won't go in. Just turn it a bit and then you'll notice it goes in. It shouldn't require any force to reassemble. So again, it doesn't go, just turn it a bit and there's the spot, and then just retighten this and it's done. So all sections are the same. You can separate the whole thing into its pieces if you did need to get inside and clean it. All right, so that's the Game Bar Carbon Plus with a bit of a walkthrough on the different attachments and a bit of maintenance. One last thing with your webbing as well, obviously just a bit of soapy water and stuff, get in there and clean that out. It's polyester, so it's mold proof and UV resistant and things like that, so it should last ages. But yeah, just look after it so it keeps going as long as you do. All right, thanks everyone.